Hello everyone, welcome to Zoho Sheets webinar. This is Jaya Shankari, the product marketer for Zoho Sheet, and I'll be the host for today's session. So in this session, we are going to look into a new type of chart called race charts in Zoho Sheet that we had launched recently. So race charts are nothing but animated charts that you can use to view a time series or periodic data in your spreadsheet. Race charts can be used to visualize a time series or periodic data that can span over several years, months, weeks, or even days. So let's get started and see how race charts can be used in your spreadsheet. So this is the agenda for today's session. So first we'll look into a brief introduction about charts in general, and then we'll move on to race charts in Zoho Sheet, that is the topic for today's webinar. And finally, we'll jump into a demonstration where I'll be showing you how you can create and customize a race chart inside Zoho Sheet. Charts have always been a primary feature in all spreadsheet applications, and Zoho Sheet is no exception. In Zoho Sheet, we provide more than 35 types of charts, and along with that, we also make sure that we have a broad and extensive customization options available for each chart type. So you can visualize your data accurately and personalize it for your spreadsheets. And apart from that, we also provide an AI-powered analytical assistant called Zia, which can provide you with automated recommendations of charts, pivot tables, and insights about your data. So if you want to insert a chart from Zia, you can simply drag and drop and create your reports. Charts in Zoho Sheet are also integrated with Zoho Writer, that is an online word processing application. So you can simply copy and paste charts from Zoho Sheet to Writer, and you can also choose if you want the chart to update as and when the data in this specific spreadsheet changes. And finally, you can also visualize your data on the go using your smartphones or tablets with Zoho Sheet available for iOS and Android. Now coming to the topic for today's session, race charts. In race charts, the bars race against each other in such a way that they visually denote the changes in the periodic data. So you can see how the data increases or decreases along the given period of time. So once you've created and customized a race chart inside your spreadsheet, you will want to share it with others. So for that, you can simply publish your chart externally and even embed it on your blog or website. And the best part of creating race charts in Zoho Sheet is that you do not require any extra coding or add-ins for creating them. So now let's move on to the demonstration where I'll show you how you can create, customize, and publish race charts inside Zoho Sheet. So this is the sample spreadsheet I'm going to use for this demonstration. So you can see that we have 4 different worksheets where I'll be showing you how race charts can be used for different data types. So in this first data, I have the total population values of various countries over several years. So you can see in the first column that I have a long list of countries being given. And also you can see that the data spans from 1996 to 2018. So this is a really huge data that spans over decades. So now when you want to visualize such a data, a static chart cannot do justice to it. So for these types of data sets, you can use race charts to make it more interesting. So to create a race chart, just place your selection anywhere in the data range. And you can either go to the insert chart icon here in the toolbar, or you can also go to the insert menu. So once I click on the insert chart icon here in the toolbar, you can see a pop-up showing the recommended chart types. So I'm just going to directly jump to the bar chart here, and that will open up the different bar chart types in Zoho Sheet. So now I'm going to choose race chart. So once you click on the race chart option, that will open up the chart for you. And you can see that simultaneously a side panel opens up on the right side that will contain all the customization options for the chart. And you can notice that this chart has a play icon at the center. So as I mentioned, race chart is an animated chart type. So with this icon, you get to control the animation of this chart. So you can choose to play, pause, or even resume the animation of the chart using the play icon at the center. So before we move on to the animation part, let's perform some basic customization on this chart to make it a little more meaningful. So here we have the basic customization options that is needed for any chart type. So we have the chart type and then the source range, which you can check if it's right, or you can even edit it if you want. And then we have the option showing how the chart has to be drawn. And finally, we also have options to choose if you want the hidden cells to be included and if you want the chart to expand automatically as the data records get added. We have already done a webinar on the various chart types in Zoho Sheet and the broad customization options. You can find the link to that webinar video in the description. So now I'm just going to move on to the race chart specific customization here. So you can see in the chart on the left that I'm not able to exactly extract meaning from the chart because there is no title telling me what these values actually represent. So for that, I'm just going to add a title and subtitle to the chart. So once you have given the title, below that you can see the various formatting options for the title. So you can choose to change the font size, the format, the font color, or even the alignment of the title. So now I'm just going to change the alignment of the title. By default, it is at the center of the chart. I'm just going to move it to the left. So now let's add a subtitle to the chart just to make it a little more descriptive. So you can see that in the subtitle, I'm mentioning only the top 10 countries because in the data, you can see that I have hundreds of countries and I do not want this chart to display all the countries, but only the top 10 values. That we have given the titles for the chart, let's move on to the other customization options. So you can see an option here called Race Chart Options. So once you click on that, you can see the various options that are specific to this particular chart type. So first you can see that there is an option where you can choose the order in which the various series in the chart are being displayed. That is, you can choose to display the top or bottom values in the chart. And also you can give a number here so you can view top 10 or top 5 values or even the bottom 10 or bottom 5 values or any other value you have in mind. So right now I'm just going to have it as 10 here, which is default because I want the values of top 10 countries to be displayed. And below that, you can see an option called animation duration. So you can see a default animation duration value that has been given, that is 0.20 seconds. So this value is nothing but an interval in which the animation occurs. That is, for example, each bar here will move from the value that is given for the year 1996 to the year 1997 in a time interval of 0.20 seconds. So the higher the value you give here, the slower the chart animation will be, and the lower the value here, the speed of animation will be higher. So now this is 0.20 seconds. I'm just going to increase it a little bit so that my animation becomes a little bit slower. Okay, I'm just increasing it here. So next up, we have an option here called Caption. That is, in the chart, you can see that at the right bottom, the year to which the values belong is being displayed. So this is the caption for the chart. You can choose to display the caption or you can even hide the caption if you do not want. But for this specific data set we have here, it is best to show the caption because we'll know to which years each value belongs to. So I'm just going to keep the caption here. So once you select to display the caption, you can see the various formatting options for it. So just like the chart title, you can choose the different formatting options for the caption too. So below the formatting options, you can find another option called Display By. So as I mentioned before, race charts are primarily used for periodic or time series data. So here you can choose to display the caption either by day, month, year, month and year, or even quarter and year. So now for this data that is total population, I'm just going to keep it as auto because that is displaying the yearly data for me. Whereas if you're working on a sales or revenue data, you can choose the quarter and year option too. So now that we have given a caption for the chart, you can find another option below that called interpolation. So you can use this option to make your chart's animation a little more smoother. So what interpolation does is that it includes estimated values between two given values in your data so that your chart's animation looks more smoother. I'll just give you a simple example. So let's say the first value we have is 1000 and the second value is 5000. So when a bar moves from the value 1000 to 5000, that might not look smooth when the chart animates as a whole. So now when you include interpolation, that will include estimated values like 2500 or 3000 between these two given values so that the bars in the chart move gradually towards the second value. That is from 1000 to 5000. It moves gradually with the estimated values included in between. So now I'll just show you how the chart animates without the interpolation option so we can see the difference after it. So you can see that the animation was really quick and the bars moved faster from one value to the other. So the data labels were also quickly moving from one value to the other. So now I'm just going to include interpolation and let's see how the animation gets smoother. Okay, so I've checked the interpolation option. Now I'm just going to play the chart again. So now you can see that the data label values are moving gradually and the bars are also moving gradually towards the next values. So this makes the animation look more smoother. And if you want the animation to happen even quickly or slowly, you can change the animation duration value too. So this makes it better to visualize the data here. So after interpolation, you can see another option here called cumulate values. So what this option cumulate values does is that, as its name signifies, it adds up values from the beginning to the end of the given time period or the given data range. So now for this particular data set, we do not need cumulate values option, but I'll show you how that option can be used in the next example. So moving on, we have an option here called handle blank cells. So this helps you decide how you want the chart to display the blank cells in your data. So when you're dealing with a huge data set in your spreadsheet, there might be some random blank cells here and there. And this option helps you choose how you want the chart to handle those blank cells. So we have three different options given. The first is interpolate. So as we saw previously in the interpolation option, this option called interpolate will treat the blank cell as an estimated value between the previous and the next value. So the second option is treat as 0. So the blank cell value will be taken as 0 and the chart will be plotted accordingly. And third, we have an option called use last valid value. So this option will take up the last or the previous valid value that is there in the data range as the blank cell value too. So now I'm just going to choose the last option, that is use last valid value, because I'm dealing with population values here. So along with these customization options, you can also see that there are other options for customizing a chart, such as data labels, horizontal axis, and also styling options given. If you want to learn about the other chart customization options in Zoho Sheet, you can click on the webinar video link in the description. So now I'm just going to move on with the race chart specific features alone. So apart from this side panel, you can also choose to customize a chart using the contextual menu here. So you can see that, so if you want to change the background of, if you want to change the background color of the chart or the opacity of the chart, you can do that from here. So you can simply click on any part of the chart that you want to edit and you can contextually do the customization here itself. So we're not going to look deeply into these customization options. So we'll just move on to the next one. So now we'll just move on to the next data set and see how we can create a race chart for it. So as you can see, this is a very simple data where we have a few countries listed and we have the values that are denoting the automobile sales of a specific company over the years, that is from 1980 to 2018. So similar to what we saw in the first worksheet, I'm just going to place the selection here in the data range and I'll go to the insert chart option, bar chart, and choose the race chart. So you can see that the race chart has been inserted inside the spreadsheet in a single click. So now let's start customizing it. So to make it a little more meaningful, I'm just going to add a title for the chart. So by default, Zoho Sheet will display only the top 10 values that are present in the data here. So now since I have less than 10 values in the data range, it is displaying all the values in my data. But I'm going to customize this chart in such a way that it displays only the top 5 country values. So before that, I'll just add a subtitle to the chart. So now that we have given the title for the chart, let's move on to the race chart customization. So as I mentioned, I want this chart to display only the top 5 values from my data. So here, I'm just going to change the value to 5. So on the left, you can see that the chart automatically changed in such a way that it is displaying only the top 5 values right now. So I'm just leaving the caption on, and the animation duration, I'm just leaving it as the default value, that is 0.20 seconds. So now I'm just going to move on to the option called cumulate values. So now since this is a sales data, if I want to see the total sales that has happened over the decades, that is, I want to see how many passenger car sales that Zilko Automobiles Private Limited has done from 1980 to 2018. So for that, I can use this option called cumulative values. So as the bars move from one year to the other, the respective values will get added up. And finally, when it moves to the last value, that is, let's say 2018, the final value will have the total sales that has happened over the years. So I'm just going to choose the option here called cumulative values. And on the left, you can see that the chart automatically changed such that now it is displaying the total sales that has happened over the whole period. So now that we have customized the chart, so let's see how it animates while we play it. So I'll just click this icon here. So you can see that the chart's animation speed is higher than what we saw previously. That's because the animation duration value was less. So this makes it more interesting to view a really huge data over a long period of time. And so now I'll just show you two more examples for race charts here. So next up, so in this data set, we have a comparison of the Indian rupee value to the other currencies. So we have the US dollar, pound, euro, and even Japanese yen here. So this data set ranges from the year 1974 to 2018. So that's a really long period of time. And here you can see on the right, there's a race chart that is displaying the same here. It is always better for you to give a chart title and a subtitle so that the chart is more meaningful even without the data. So you can see that we have the title and the subtitle giving the period over which this value is being shown. And you can notice that only the top three values are being displayed here in this race chart because it has been customized in such a way that it displays only the top three values. So when we play it, you can see that the bars swap the positions between each of them because as a bar's value increases, it moves to the top position. So the position of these bars change respectively as and when the value changes. So this way it makes it easier for you to view the changes that had happened over the years, and you can also view only the top values that you want. So now we'll move on to the other example that we have for race charts. So you must have already noticed that this race chart type is a very interesting and exciting way of visualizing data. So why not use it for an interesting data set too? So here we have the tennis men's singles ranking that ranges for a decade, that is from 2010 to 2019. So this chart displays the top 10 men's singles players based on the points and ranking. So I'm just going to play this chart. So you can see the bar swapping positions and moving gradually towards the final value in each year. And you can see the caption also changing with respect to each value or year. So you can see that the animation of this particular chart is slower because the animation duration has been set in such a way that it proceeds slowly towards the end. So now we'll just move on to the first example we saw, that is total population. So now we'll just look at a few more options that are available for race charts in Zoho Sheet. So here on the right top corner of the chart, you can find some more options for the chart. So you can find the option to play the chart or even pause the animation. And you can find an option called stop that will reset the chart to the first frame. And then you can find options to edit the chart or change the chart type. You can also choose to copy or reset the styling of the chart. You can also move the chart to the other worksheets in your spreadsheet. You can clone it or even delete it. And you can also find an option called save as image. Since this is an animated chart type, when you choose to download it as an image, the image will contain the chart with the values of the final range in your data. That is, you can see that the chart is displaying the values of 2018 right now because I've reset the animation. So this particular frame will be downloaded as an image when I choose to save it as an image. So irrespective of what the chart is currently displaying, when you choose to save it as an image, the final values will be downloaded. You can also choose to save that image to the library, And finally, you can see an option called publish. So once you've created and customized your race chart, you might want to share it for others to see. So you can simply choose to publish your chart alone and not display the data in your spreadsheet. So just click on publish here, and that will open up the dialog saying that your chart is published externally. So anybody with this particular link can view your chart. So you can also see that the embed code is also provided. So you can embed this particular chart in your blog, website, or any other material you want. So now I'm just going to show you how you can embed it. So for that, simply click on copy here, and this embed code will get copied for you. Here you can see that I have a sample blog draft here. So this is a blog editor, and you can see a title and a sample content being displayed. So now I want to embed the chart after this particular content. So for that, I'm just going to add a section called custom HTML, and I'll paste the embed code here and choose preview. So this is how the chart will be displayed once you publish the blog too. So the readers can interact with the chart then and there. They can simply click on the play icon and see how the chart animates. So this adds more value to the particular blog that I've added here, and it makes it a little more interesting. And this chart will also get updated when you update the chart in the source spreadsheet. So that way you need not worry about your blog having an outdated data. So in this demonstration, we have seen how you can create, customize, and share race charts using Zoho Sheet. So do try out race charts with different data sets and let us know how useful to us. If you have any questions or feedback about race charts or Zoho Sheet in general, you can drop us an email at support@zohosheet.com anytime, and we'll be happy to help you out. And if you have any feedback about this webinar video, you can drop them as comments below. Thank you for joining me in this session. Do try out race charts and give us your feedback as comments below. You can also watch our previous webinar videos using the link in the description. Hope you found this session useful. See you in the next session.